Hello again, I'm Fluff, and a while ago I made a video about the NC Scout Rifle, the fully automatic one, the AF-18 Stalker. Now if you've seen that video you will know that at the time I was very much not enamoured with the Stalker in the slightest. I felt it was no real choice for an infiltrator who was serious about their role. However, with the big rebalancing that occurred an update or two ago, there have been changes, and I've recently had cause to pick up the Stalker once again. The rifle itself received a few favourable changes, probably the biggest being that its minimum damage was actually raised quite a bit. Although its minimum damage range, the point at which you're doing the lowest damage you're going to do, is 65 meters, so it's clearly a scout rifle. It is not going to be a viable option for the extra long range work. Of course, the fact it's fully automatic probably clues you into that fact. It also, as with the mirror rifles that the VS and TR have, got another 4 rounds in the magazine. That's quite a big change, and to sort of highlight it, I think probably the easiest way to think of it is for every 5 rounds in the magazine they gave us another one. There are also a few changes to do with reload times, accuracy when firing when static or when on the move, and so on. Of course, there is another big change in the fact that there is a specific dedicated close range option available for the infiltrator now in the form of the submachine guns, so there is no more bastardization of trying to use this thing for that purpose. If you want to go seriously close range, you have a dedicated option. The Stalker has now been balanced for the fact that it is a midpoint between those sniper rifles and the submachine guns. And to be clear, I've been using the Stalker where I feel its performance is going to be at its maximum, and that is, essentially, not when you're on your own. If you're on your own, chances are you're either doing the infiltrate-y part of the role, trying to get into bases and stuff, and in that case, you're going to be fighting when you're discovered, and in that case you need huge amounts of close-range damage, so an SMG is preferable, or alternatively you're looking at very long-range support, in which case a sniper rifle is preferred. In a squad, the Stalker allows you to kind of multi-role a little bit. You're able to moonlight as a regular infantryman if you like. You can contribute damage in the mid-range when there is a push going on, and then you can go on into bases and things to do your infiltrator role. If you've got a suppressor, that means you can then quite seamlessly transfer into a more flanking style of play and assist your team by sabotaging as they come into bases, or to allow them to enter bases. And that 65 meter minimum damage point does mean you are definitely not going to be stealing the role of the other infantry anytime soon. Really, that's just something you're going to have to bear in mind. If you're an infiltrator, you're going to have a sniper rifle by default, so you should be able to pick up on the cue as to when to switch to a sniper rifle, because it's going to turn into one of those fairly protracted battles. As to be honest, I think that's basically all she wrote about this one. In my personal experience, I've had some success with foregrip and compensator. That's simply because a lot of the time I've not actually been too concerned about whether I've been spotted or not, because I'm operating in with a bunch of guys who are making no attempt to actually be undetected. As an infiltrator on your own, being undetected is far more critical than it is when you are in a group, when you are simply one of many targets. However, I have swapped the compensator out for a suppressor, which makes it far more viable for slightly more covert work, and especially for those times where you can appear, say, 10 meters behind someone and put a round into their back without anyone noticing and then fade away. I also think there is a case to be made for using this in tandem with nano armor cloak, simply because, once again, you're not relying on being undetected. The fact that you can disappear like that and break line of sight and make it harder for, say, a heavy with his LMG to track you while absorbing the damage that you do take from him, and then uncloak and reply with your attack from the Stalker, I've found even only a couple of levels into nano armor has been very useful in that respect. Price wise, I believe the Stalker is the typical 1000 certs or 700 station cash, and as far as I'm concerned, the following definitely applies as to whether you should invest in it or not. If you play the Infiltrator class as a main class, that is the one you primarily play, then the Stalker is worth a look. It's certainly worth you taking out a trial or derping around in VR for a while with it. What it does is it opens up a new role for you as an infiltrator, in which you are part of a squad acting in close proximity to the rest of the squad and almost as a Pathfinder type playstyle, just being that bit ahead of the lines, being just over on the other side, getting behind the enemy lines while it's under attack, sometimes taking risks to the point where you might actually be getting shot at by your own friends while you're at work. In that situation, the Stalker is a good asset, and it really helps you open up that play style and make it your own. If, however, you don't play the Infiltrator as a main class, and you're just looking for something that isn't a scoped rifle, you want something that is decent in close quarters, then you would probably, in my estimation, be better off getting a submachine gun and going with that, because you can always put it onto the other classes, and especially if you play all of the classes, you're going to benefit from being able to choose that weapon on each one of those, instead of being limited to only the Stalker on your Infiltrator. And that is where I feel its value is somewhat decreased, is for anyone who doesn't main Infiltrator. Now, having said all that, there is no substitute for you yourself making your own mind up, giving it a go yourself, and seeing what you think. So I would always advise that you try it out personally. From my point of view, the Stalker has definitely been improved with the rebalance, and certainly, at least now, I could recommend it to someone who wanted that specific role opened up for them, whereas before I was telling everyone to avoid it like the plague. So that is a plus. That is all from me for now, however, so thank you for watching, and of course, take care.